Welcome back to the SoCal VMUG. It's Alastair Cooke here, and this is the vBrownBag live from the SoCal VMUG. My second session of the day is talking about getting started in blogging, because I found blogging was my first entry into social media and getting visibility and getting myself out there, and in many ways it was what led me to be where I am in the community now, was to getting started with blogging. And I talk to a lot of people who have trouble simply getting started with blogging, that getting to the first 2, 3, 4, 5 blog posts is really hard. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about getting started with blogging. vBrownBag, of course, using the standard deck, so we've got these notes here that we're doing all kinds of cool and crazy stuff. Come see us if you're coming to the VM World in Europe, in Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. If you can't make it, we will be live streaming the presentations from there, so check those out. And we'll be at the OpenStack Summit in Paris roughly 3 weeks after we're in Barcelona. That's going to be some hellish long-haul travel for me. Lots of editions of the vBrownBag podcast, lots of hosts. Hit professionalvmware.com to find them. First question around blogging is, why are you doing blogging? Why are you actually writing this blog? Why are you recording your thoughts somewhere in public? And there are a few reasons. I personally started blogging because I was teaching training courses, and there were things that I would learn as I was teaching one course that I wanted to share with students on prior courses. And rather than ringing everybody on the phone and saying, hey, by the way, I told you something wrong, I found that posting things on the blogs was good, and posting new ways of thinking about things. So this is how I started out blogging, and keeping a record of things is actually really good. A lot of people who blog also find that they can't stop themselves. One of the things they say about an author, it's not that an author finds it difficult to write, they find it difficult not to write. And blogging is one of those outlets for people who are always writing. It's a good way. One of the common reasons for blogging, and one of the really good things to do with blogging, is to deal with the fact that you forget what you did last year, last week, last month, what you had for breakfast today. And you can use your blog when you resolve a problem, when you find the solution to an issue, to record how you fix that particular problem. And one of the really funny experiences that a lot of bloggers have is they strike an issue, they Google search for the issue, and they find their own blog post. They'd actually forgotten that they had fixed this problem, and they then found that they had previously fixed it. And as I've made a couple of allusions to today, I'm no longer as young as I was, and so forgetting things is becoming more common. Another reason for blogging, just to help other people. So often you'll find that you troubleshoot a problem, you spend a long time looking for the resolution to this problem, and Google doesn't give you any answers. It only gives you people who are searching for a solution. You then fix the problem, and you realize that there is value in the solution. The hours of frustration that you spent searching for what's going to fix this can be short-circuited if you write a post that answers it. And my top post for that was undeleting VMFS data stores. If you delete a VMFS data store, it's gone. All your VMs are gone. And I discovered there's a simple process to undelete VMFS if you know the process. And so I blogged that. I actually now find 2.5 years later, that's still in my top 5 hits all of the time, is that blog about undeleting VMFS data stores. So it's still one of those things that's really helpful for you people. Another thing that I see is that people start blogging for visibility. They wish to advance in their careers. They've got their mind set on where they want to be in a few years' time. I can't understand it, but some people have this planning of their careers, and so they use blogging as one of the ways to get visible, to get noticed, and they use it as kind of a living CV, a living curriculum vitae. These are the things that I have done, and they're expressed in a public forum. So employers going looking will actually find their skill set and their knowledge. If you've looked at bloggers, quite often you'll see the bloggers that we all follow end up working for vendors. So their job role moves from being in-house with a customer, they end up working for a large vendor organization who likes that they can express themselves and that they have that public visibility. So this is very clearly, we see that career progression happens from writing about tech to actually going and then selling it and maybe professionally writing about it. What things should you put in your blog? This is another kind of starting point is what do I write about? I don't know. I don't do anything interesting. Everything's been written about. Write about what you did. The most valuable blog content is I went out and did something, and here are the problems that I had. Here's how I fixed it. Here's how to avoid those points of pain if you have to deal with the same problem. So these kinds of, rather than a walkthrough of something I built in the lab, which is the majority of what I write, the stuff of I was building this solution with this combination of pieces together, and here's how I found that you could make it work. That content is really useful. The good things to add to the straight procedural, here's how I did it, is here's why I did it. And I chose to do this tool. I chose to use PowerShell to automate this process rather than using a Perl script because of this. Or I chose to deploy an iSCSI connection to my storage array rather than NFS for these reasons. The why is really important. The other really fun part is writing about what went wrong. We often write about what was successful. We don't always write about what went wrong. Writing about the thing that didn't work, the thing you tried and you decided was the wrong thing to do is a really valuable thing because it illustrates thought processes and compromises that have to be made much more clearly than the straight, yes, we were good. So I follow a site called Hackaday, and they have a post that goes up as fail a week. Somebody had a project, it went disastrously wrong, and the magic blue smoke was released out of the electronic components. And that kind of stuff is really entertaining. And yeah, ouch. Uniqueness is optional, and this is the sheer volume of things that have been written about IT infrastructure and virtualization in particular is often an impediment to people starting to write. It's all been written before. Everything that can be invented has been invented. Don't do a podcast immediately after a 1 hour long talking session. Thank you very much. So, uniqueness of topic is not mandatory. It is absolutely an optional. But uniqueness of voice is far more important than unique presence of voice is important too. I'm going to stop projecting to the guys here, and my apologies if you can't hear me so much. The perspective that you use, the things that you've seen, your way of expressing yourself is a really important part of blogging. So as a trainer, I will explain something once to the class, and 2/3 of the people will probably, if I'm doing it right, understand off the first time. But there's still 1/3 of the class who didn't understand it the first way I explained. And so it's very important to reach those people, to get the understanding to those people, is to express things in a different way. And even if you're discussing a topic that somebody else has written the definitive article on, writing an article that expresses it, uses a different metaphor, uses a different way of approaching the discussion is hugely valuable, because people who read the first article and go, I understood every word, but I have no idea what he was talking about. I can read your article and say, right, now I get it. Go back to the other article and say, yep, that makes sense in the way of looking at it that this other article has written. So the fact that what you're writing about is not unique is not important. The important thing is to be your unique person, write about your experience, your environment, write about the things that are slightly different for you, and bring your voice in it. That unique voice is a really important part of blogging and the whole social media presence. And then sharing. One of the features that we find in the community, one of the things I love about the VMware community, is that most of the people who are the leaders in the community are so grateful of everybody else in the community. And so you get people like Scott Lowe, that was presenting here today, will acknowledge the contributions of dozens of people who look at him and say, he's the guy who was my idol, he was the guy I started reading. He'll then be reading, I'm not sure that he reads much of my content, but he's reading content from lots of other people, and that sort of being fans of one another is a very common thing. And it's important as you're blogging that you link to other people's content, that you acknowledge, these are the places that I went to read up about it in order to work out to do this. This guy wrote about some piece, and I really like this bit, I took this bit of what he taught me, and somebody else wrote about another piece. So always acknowledge the giants upon whose shoulders we all stand. Because this community is built with a lot of giants, and hopefully we're building new giants. Hopefully this brief intro to the idea of starting to blog is going to start building the giants of the next few years. This is the vBrownBag, and I'm Alastair Cooke talking about the joys of starting blogging and getting right into it.